I don't think I have any or know of any updates on any of these RFCs. I don't know if anybody else does.
I mean, the one that was opened by me, I don't have any updates. That's kind of why I'm here.
Right, okay. So that's the last one, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can talk a little bit about that. So I've been seeing lots of emails from GitHub about stack changes that I think
Yeah.
is Costas the one that's doing it. I can't remember who was doing it.
Yes, I do that.
Yeah, Costas is doing quite a bit of work.
Is it good or bad?
No,
What's
no, it's
going
good.
on? Okay,
It's
okay,
good.
cool.
No,
Got
I mean,
anxious for a second.
no, it's good. I mean, so it seems like you're making the stacks or the base images all multi-arch,
Yes,
which I feel like
with
that.
with Michael, we in general we discuss and we try to find a solution between all the repos and at the same time to support multi-arc.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the UBI stack is multi-arch now. The stack itself, and Costas has been working to take the changes that we needed for that to help make the other one of the other stacks multi-arch so that we can get them all into the common config.
Okay.
So I think like when we've discussed this before, it was kind of like, do we need this RFC? Maybe not, because like the work is taking place.
Yeah, so that's from the base images and builder.
Yeah.
Sorry, not even. Are we talking about builders or stacks? We're not talking about builders yet, right?
So to start with stack, so like the UBI stack multi-arch, it builds and creates all the images you need for x86, ARM, Power, and Z. The next thing that we've been working on is, well, we need like the build packs to be multi-arch. So there's been like the node build pack. So like we're on the node team. So we've been working on the node part to make the node build packs multi-arch, and Costas has run into, found some problems, has PRs to different things like Packet and Ocam and like to get all the testing. So
Yep.
that's I think getting close, Costas, right? Like then we would have the most of the build packs. There's still a couple of build packs which are a little bit more of a challenge because they have to pull in dependencies, and Rolf has been, I think, looking at those. But the goal is we'll get those build packs for Node at least all done. Then we can change the builders for UBI to say, okay, well, we got a stack that supports it. We got build packs that support it. Let's create the builders. In which case, like UBI will support multi-arch. And then what Costas has been helping with more recently is like, okay, well, from Ubuntu, how do we get those similar things in for the stack? Once they're in, once they're in the stack, if we've already got it working for UBI, well, the build packs, it should just all be the same. So it should be a pretty straightforward in terms of the builders of turning it on, right? So the real work is in the stacks, and then the build packs, right? And then the builders are almost, I guess we'll find out. We haven't done one yet. We're hoping they're
Yeah,
almost ready once you've done all that other work.
correct.
Yeah, I mean, I've built lots of builders, multi-arch builders internally.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are playing with it too.
Sorry, you have built a lot of builders internally, but with multi-arc, you mean?
Yeah, we have.
Oh,
So we use Amazon Linux, and we have multi-arch. We already have multi-arch stacks, and we do multi-arch builders. But we kind of have a different build process, and so I feel like the thing that needed to be updated in order to make this whole RFC move forward was like the tooling. And Michael just mentioned, let's see, that you were working on Occam. Is that because Occam tries to get the GitHub release instead of using an image? Did you make an update that way?
I think there's been a few things, but like, for example, it didn't call PAP in the way that you can actually use PAP with multi-arch, right? So like
Oh, okay.
It's that like all of the tools are not like fully fleshed out. So like there was one path that multi-arch works with path. And if you use that one, it worked. But if you use the other option where you said, well, no, I don't want this thing in a directory, I want it in a tarball. That didn't work with multi-arch. So like we had to tweak Oakham to say, well, okay, don't do it the way you were doing. We're going to unzip the thing first, and then you can use it on a directory, and that works. And like, so over time, pack implementation may become more rounded, and we wouldn't have had to do that. But like in the short term, our path was to like make tweaks like that. And I think Costas has also made some tweaks to pack as well, even to like fix some of the things we couldn't work around, right?
Okay, well,
So it's
this is
basically to get us into the flows, the more restricted flows of the tools that actually say, yeah, okay, I know about multi-arch and I can do that.
okay. So
And
that,
even some simple things like just one other example is I think Oakham was pulling the containers to test by order.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it
so
was.
as soon as there were more, because there were now one per architecture, that didn't work, right? Like we actually haven't solved the problem of testing with all the different architectures. We just wanted to continue to test with x86, but that got broken because it pulled the first one, and the first one wouldn't necessarily be x86 anymore, and so that kind of just gives you the idea of the edge cases that are there. But like Costas has found a path to say like, okay, we could here's our path where we can actually build, and we got the stack working, the UBI stack. The UBI has some different options, so like he's working on that. There's a lot of common stuff that will be shared, but there's some different options. And then the build packs had kind of a different flavor of those same kind of things that we worked through.
okay. Yeah, I mean that all makes sense. Is the intention to have? I saw a PR that said like make all stacks multi-arch. Is that the intention? Is that already in place? Like we're talking about Jammy and Noble and like all. Are we going to make all Paketo stacks multi-arch?
Um, that this is optional. We have this backward compatibility. So if you merge this PR, you will still have single arc unless you specified it on a new file we have introduced called images.json. So for example, if I get the multi-arc pull implementation and merge it on Jammy base stack or on Jammy tiny stack, things will still work as they were working. Nothing will change unless I go on the I create an images.json file where I specify how many architectures I want or how many images I want. So it's up to them. It's up to the stack maintainers actually if they want to have new architectures for each stack. The workflows though doesn't change. The workflows do not change anything.
I think
Okay.
the one you're working on is the latest in Ubuntu, like the newest one, Noble, right?
Yes.
Noble. That's what I
Like
saw.
the idea that's a newer one, so let's introduce it there, and then I think it could be a later discussion whether people want to enable it from the older ones as well.
Yes, this PR on Noble is based on the UBI-based stack, and the UBI-based stack is based on the work of Jammy Tiny Stack. And all these are supposed to work together. Of course, I do not test in all repos with every change, but I'm 100% sure that with a minimal change from now on, once we have it on Noble, I can also do the same thing on UBI, and with also minimal changes, I can also do the same thing for the Jammy without breaking any kind of backward compatibility or changing the output of the assets or changing the test or changing anything for the non-multi-arc stacks.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to actually run the test, but I don't really see a risk in just making images multi-arch, like just
Yeah.
flip switch one day and saying that's it. Old ones used to be single arch. Now, anytime you pull, you're getting multi-arch, like Docker.
Correct. I've even, for example, sorry for interrupting, I haven't maintained the naming convention that they have on the assets. So nothing changes on the output result.
That would require though, like it is potentially. Anyway, we don't need to decide today, but I could see like that would force you to use a newer version of Path, for example, if you flip to multi-arch, because I think like older versions of the life cycle or whatever don't understand that concept, and the binaries are actually in different places. So once you flip to multi-arch, they're in some subdirectories, and like so I don't think it's 100 like
This
you can't
is
take older versions of the life cycle in Path and use them with multi-arch necessarily.
yes, this is especially for you mean for the buildpacks because for the stacks might not. Yeah, I don't.
For the stack, maybe the stack would be okay. Like, yeah,
Yes,
but
but it's yeah, buildpacks. Yes, it's totally different kind of
yeah,
thing. But yeah, that's true. Buildpacks, if you have multi-arc with older versions, probably will not work because the assets have changed a little bit. They have changed on the packs on the specification from the pack. Yes, that's true.
stack itself, though, you might be right that because it's a like there's a single entry point for,
Yes,
and it just gets you
exactly.
the that's more of a Docker Podman thing that handles the
Correct.
multi part. So yeah, you're
It's
probably right strictly for the stack. I was just thinking like for some of the other
the
components, you know,
Yeah.
you are forcing people up in newer versions of tools at least.
yes, but it's true. Like in general, we don't have the full image of what will happen. Like
Right.
if that's true. Like it's better to always not to. We try not to do assumptions that things will work as we expect because we don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I see low risk for the stacks. I agree with the build packs. It has to be done with care.
Yes.
I was going to ask, one of the challenges that we were looking at when we were starting to make multi-arch stuff was like the receipts from the packages. Are we still publishing those things? Are we getting rid of them? Or have you looked at that at all?
Yes, we published them. Not published on the release assets of each release
Mhm.
for each architecture. As far as so, I mean, I have for UBI 8 stack, for example, if you go on the assets, um,
So it
cancel.
used to be like one receipt, no architecture. And now I assume you're adding an architecture somehow so that it's clear.
Yes, correct. If you go
Okay.
here, you will see that. Where's the chat? Okay, you will see that for each architecture, we have a different cycle on the X file.
Yep, I see.
And
Okay. Yep.
but this is for each architecture. The image, the .oci artifact is one. The .oci artifact has all the architecture in it, but we generate for each one separately. Don't remember how we do that.
Well, we
But
have
if,
like the concept that was introduced is we have this images that basically says like your stack consists of these set of images and you can have multiple run images. And so like for each of the ones that's there, it will generate a set of things, which include the container as well as like the receipts and everything, you know, the SHA and everything that goes along with it. So there's basically a big loop that says, yeah, for each one of these we generate, we're going to generate all these things that you need. And then like, you know, there is also then the original stock thing, which is like now the index to all the you know
yes,
architecture specific.
yeah, you're right, you're right. Yeah, I remember
So
it.
there's still
Correct.
like one container name that you can use to pull the thing,
Yes,
but it
yes,
now is an index that says, well, I'm going to point to all these other OCI images effectively.
yes, you're right. Thanks for reminding
Okay. I mean, like basically, Costas has been doing a lot of this work that I just never had a chance to actually dig into. So thank you. And you definitely moved, and obviously Michael and anyone else who's contributed, you guys have
me.
moved
Yes,
this process forward. I feel like if we have the stacks all multi-arch, it makes it easy to create builders on the fly and test things,
Yeah.
which is absolutely required in order to make the multi-arch, the build pack multi-arch. So anyhow, I
So
think
what would be really helpful is like getting reviews and getting the things landed into the
Yeah.
common, right? Because as a single, like yeah, that's like if you have some cycle, that would be the best thing is if you can help actually say, yep, okay, Costas has tested this, let's get it landed, because that's where we seem to take quite a while to find people who can review and
yeah, so I'm chatting with Daniel about
yeah,
potentially becoming a maintainer. So
okay.
if I can do that, then I can help
Yeah,
prioritize it. And like this has been lingering for a while, but I can see that you guys have been working on it, so it's definitely awesome that
yeah.
some progress has been made. And if we can get it across the finish line, that would be fabulous. So I'm going to do my best to make that possible.
Yeah, I
Sounds good.
mean, we could have, if you can help on reviews, approve some, we would have, yeah, anyway. So for example, we have generated the assets for Jammy, but in a private repo, in my repo. I can show you repos that we have Jammy, multi-arc, have Ubuntu multi-arc. We can do everything, yes.
Yeah, if you need some help getting up to speed, Costas would be happy to like get together and he can walk you through all the stuff.
Yeah, no, I think that would be great.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's my update on the multi-arch is that I
Okay.
don't have an update, but I want to help actually close this out, and we can. I'm not sure if we need to merge this RFC. I feel like we should just merge it once we. Well, actually, let me just go back. Like
Haven't read it. Haven't read it. Sorry for this because but I will take a look at it because I also didn't have enough context in the past. But now that I have context, I can read it. But also seems a lot of conversation there.
I think it might be that like the detailed part of it might need some update.
yeah, I mean
Oh,
that was written before Pack supported
Right, exactly.
multi-arch build packs, and like all this was like step one to get the discussion going, and a lot of progress has been made since, and I haven't gone and updated that. Um, and also like the Java build packs are built differently than stuff with Packet, right?
Yeah.
yeah, that's
So I feel like I'm not sure what the common ground is, but whatever the common strategy is, I need to go and look at how we're doing things.
Yeah.
So Michael, you said that, are you doing multi-arch build packs for Node in the same way that the Java team is doing it? Like, I guess, is there any
Well,
reason?
there's a
no.
different set of tooling used for the Node ones, right? So, like I don't think Occam is used by the Java team, so that's in Pocket, I think is Node specific as well. So we've, we've worked on those tools to make it instead of trying to change all the tools, we've kept the tools and approaches and all that and tweaked them where necessary to help them support the multi-arch side of things. There is maybe a longer term discussion to say like, is there some value in trying to like move towards a common set of tools? But like that would be a whole nother like just changing all the tools to build the node build packs is a whole big effort on its own, right? So in this case, things like we'll end up with, obviously the stacks are common and even the builders are common. So those would all be using similar tools and workflows and everything. It'll just be the build packs themselves that then use some tools that are, possibly specific to either Java or the Node side of things.
But there is a small, but actually there is not a small, there's a possibility that we might need to use Libpack version 2 because Occam has an issue and cannot upgrade due to Packet cannot upgrade the dependencies. And as a result, like we have an outdated Occam. So we might, and that's what Daniel suggested, like we might need to use Libpack v2 instead of Occam. I haven't looked at it, but once we have like done some progress on multi-arc and things have settled it a little bit, we can in the future prioritize that. But we will
Right.
see, of course. Yeah. Not,
Okay, yeah. So, and I guess Libpack. I know I'm chatting with him about Libpack v2 as well.
okay.
Libpack. So with the Java apps, they're able to do multi-arch. Well, actually, I don't know. Do we know if they're testing multi-arch, doing multi-arch tests, like testing their multi-arch build packs, or are we doing it one architecture only? I don't know if anyone knows.
That I don't know. like for Node, we're just like, let's just get it so that it works and still tests on one, and then we'll worry about like, okay, how would we test on more than one? Because the risk is probably much like, yeah, there could be platform architecture specific things, but that's a smaller risk than other things.
Yeah. I mean,
we don't know.
But it is a good question. Like, is that solved? That there may be, so there could be lots of reasons why it's like, well, okay, maybe it is easier to look at libpack versus extending Occam, right? Like in the end, but we don't understand well enough what all that entails.
With Occam, we can do that because we have changed Occam so it can download. And also there was another package called Freezer that was storing the build packs. So now we can do that. You can literally go to Occam and we have added a new flag that specifies the target specifically. So we can do that with Occam. I don't know if it's that feasible with libpack v2 because that's also when we discovered this issue. Anyway, we can do that with Occam. Hold on.
yeah, I mean, like, I think we're getting into details.
Yeah.
But this is, I mean, it's really good discussion, and yeah.
So maybe, maybe what I'd suggest is like, if you sort of, it sounds like you want to get up to speed a little bit, but then maybe schedule a time with like Costas and myself, and Costas can take us through explain a little bit more, like if you have questions, maybe if you look at it and say, oh, that's all obvious, but if not, happy to sort of have the meeting to walk through it and see, okay, here's the approach and what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm going to take you up on that. I think what I'm going to do is do a little bit of research on how it's being done with Java, so we can compare as we go along.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And then we can kind of brainstorm on either merging things or whatever the best approach is.
Yep. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. I don't think we have any CMB updates because unless you have some, Jericho, I don't have any, and I don't think we like Costas and I aren't really involved in the CMB side.
No, I mean, I guess I always have some kind of update. So there was an internship kind of opportunity with CNB where we were trying to do multi-arch builds, and there was a kind of sort of working prototype, but not fully working. So I'm going to try to get that revived and actually get something working. This is like doing multi-arch builds with BuildKit. If we can get that working, that would be really nice because we could then do multi-arch testing. But I mean, that's going to be using emulation, so it's going to be super slow, but whatever. It would be better than nothing.
Sorry, what is that all about? If you can, like, you said, is it a project from an internship that you have been working on?
Yeah, there was I'm forgetting what it's called. It was like, Linux Foundation mentorship program where they like have somebody apply and they, can choose a project and they can work on it. So we created a couple of them. One of them was for it was an experimental kind of like project where we were going to try to get Pack to be able to build multi-arch images. So you could say Pack build multi-arch version of some container, and it will then, rather than just running the Pack container that runs all the Buildpacks in one architecture, it would use BuildKit to do it in multiple architectures. Kind of like when you do a Docker buildx build, where you get like, multiple architectures building at the same time. One is native and the other was emulated. So.
Oh, I see. So instead of having to install the emulator with a BuildKit, Buildpacks, you mean Docker Buildx thing?
Yes, BuildX. I mean, I'm saying BuildKit, BuildX.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm not very familiar. That's why. Okay, I see. So instead of having to install the emulator, you can just Pack will be able to generate these images without having the emulator. You said.
Right. Yeah. Like I think the main difference. Right. Go ahead, Michael.
I was gonna say, because isn't BuildX used for what the flows you have now, Costas, where it's like,
yes,
okay, we're gonna create a container for each of the different architectures.
Like it installs Kemu and then but it's on the GitHub Actions. But yes, indeed, if you want, for example, to run these tests locally, you will have to, and if you want to run a different architecture of the tests locally, you will have to install the Buildpacks and stuff like that. So in that case, will be really helpful. Yeah.
So the same thing you're doing, where you're running this stuff through BuildX, right? You're running your tests.
Yeah.
Is it the test that you're running in Buildpacks?
No, we're building all the
Yes,
containers. Like, so for this stack, we build all the containers,
Yep.
but we
exactly.
haven't necessarily got something which then runs the test.
Yes, because we had also this conversation in the past, and there are small discrepancies between architecture, especially in the stack level. So we
Yeah.
were like, okay, for now we can leave it and see in the future how we're gonna we
So like
will.
the UBI one is now multi-arch, like you can pull and you can pull the build image or the run images. There's, you know, the node run image for Paketo run image, and you can run that on on x86, ARM, Power, or Z.
Right.
Because it's a multi-arch image. So like if you went to Docker, you could find, you know, Paketo Buildpacks, UBI, UBI 8 base stack, I think it is.
Base
And
stack,
like
yeah. You
there'll be
used.
like a run Node.js 18, Node.js 22, Java 23. You can, on any one of those machines, you could just point to that and it would pull you the right architecture and you could run it. But in our testing, we left it as those tests run on x86. So when you run the tests, it pulls the x86 version. And it's test.
Correct.
We haven't done anything to say like, let's get an emulator running or get a real machine and run through those same tests, having, you know, effectively running on the other architectures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because on the stack level, it's not that much important. There are small discrepancies between
Right.
architectures, and it's not really a priority. I don't think also, I'm not 100% sure, but it's not very hard to, if for example, Buildpacks supports P6, PPC, I don't know, or S39X, S390.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. You can say like install Buildpacks, run, that's all. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so the thing I'm talking about is basically when you run pack build, you know that it like creates it creates the container and runs the life cycle.
Yeah.
Like basically just doing that in BuildKit or with BuildX. Like instead of running, like it's almost like create a Docker file that says run my life cycle for each platform.
Right.
So
That might be like, because I think today, if we put all these things through, you're going to end up with a builder, which can build for any platform. But I think what it would do is it would build for your it would build your application
right.
for your current platform as opposed to all platforms. So I could see it's like another extension to say, oh, I don't want you to do it once. I want you to do it multiple times. You need a multi-arch builder, but once you have that multi-arch builder, that I could see a step that then is like, okay, I want to actually effectively do what we've done for the stack, which is build a bunch of images, combine them into the one multi-arch image, right?
Yep. Yeah, and I feel
Okay.
like this is mostly for user experience. I think anything that any like when we build our build packs that are multi-arch and we test them, we don't use emulation. We just have different runners that are different architectures, just because it's just going to be faster. Although I always find ARM to always be super slow no matter what. But that's just me. But anyways, and I just wanted to say that if we can get that working, I'm not sure that that would be necessarily used for testing because again, it's going to be slower than anything native, but that would be nice if we could get that working. Yeah, so that I think that's all I have from.
Okay. Okay, in terms of project updates, I think we've talked about the things we're most actively working on already. Say no updates. Open mic questions or discussion topics. So yeah, no, I'll say none today. So good, Jericho, to see to talk today. And like, yeah, once you've sort of got yourself oriented, let us know and we can, you know, do some of that sort of information sharing. You can help us understand a bit what you've learned about on the job side, and then we can talk about what Cost has been working hard on lately and go from there.
Yeah, you can ping us anytime, like literally.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, and likewise, if you guys need anything from me, I'm available.
Cool.
Sounds good. Okay, well, I guess we'll see everybody next time. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you in GitHub.
Sounds good. All right, guys.
Bye.